Shane had shown her, but he didn't. Instead, he took her to his own room, the big one on the corner. It was about twice the size of her own room, but didn't have much furniture. It did have a fireplace, empty this time of year, and a couple of chairs and a reading lamp. Michael settled in one. Clara took the other, feeling small and cold in the heavy leather seat. The wing chair was about twice her size. Right. Michael said and leaned forward, resting his elbows. Let's talk about this morning. But having said that, he didn't seem to know how to start. He fidgeted, staring at the carpet. You died. You vanished. He seemed glad to have something to respond to. Not exactly, but yeah, close enough. You know how he used to be a magician? You still are. Magicians play someplace besides their own houses. You heard Shane at dinner. He's pushing to find out why I'm not playing gigs. Truth is, I can't. I can't go outside of this house. She remembered him standing in the doorway, white face watching Shane face off with Brandon. That had him being cautioned. He wanted to be out there fighting next to his friend, but he couldn't. What happened? She asked softly. She could tell it wasn't going to be an easy story. A vampire, he said. Mostly they just feed, and eventually they kill you if they feed hard enough. Some of them like that. Some of them like that kind of thing. Not all of them. But this one was different. He followed me back from a gig and tried to make me. She felt her face burn and dropped her face. Oh God. Not that, he said. Not exactly. He tried to make me a vampire. But he couldn't. I guess he killed me. Or nearly anyway. But he couldn't make me into what he was. And he was trying. It nearly killed us both. When I woke up later, it was daylight. He was gone, and I was a ghost. Wasn't until night came that I realized I could make myself real again. But only at night. She shook his head slowly, rubbing his hands together as if trying to wash off a stain. I think the house keeps me alive. The house? She echoed. It's old. And it has a kind of power. I don't know what it is exactly. When my parents traded up this house, they only lived here for a couple of months, then moved away to New York. Didn't like the vibes. I liked it fine. I think it liked me too. But anyway, I can't leave it. I've tried. Even during the day, when you're not here, doesn't matter. Can't go out any door, window, or crack. I'm trapped here. He looked oddly relieved by telling her. If he hadn't told Shane or Eve, he probably hadn't told anybody. That felt odd, being the keeper of that secret, because it was a big one. Attacked by a vampire, left for dead, turned into a ghost, trapped in the house. How many secrets was that anyway? Something occurred to her. You said the vampire, did he drink your blood? Michael nodded. He didn't meet her, and you died. Another silent nod. What happened to your body? I'm still kind of using it. He gestured at himself. Claire, unable to stop himself, reached out and touched it. He felt real and warm, alive. I don't know how it works, Claire. I really don't. Except I don't think it's the house. Not me. Sorry. Except I do think it's the house, not me. She took a deep breath. Do you drink blood? He looked up this time, surprised, lips parted. No, of course not. Of course I don't. I told you. He couldn't make me what he was. You're sure? I eat Shane's garlic chili. Does that sound like a vampire to you? Until today, I thought I knew what a vampire was. All capes and fake Romanian accents and stuff. What about crosses? Do crosses work? Sometimes. Don't rely on them, though. The older ones aren't stopped by things like that. How about Brandon? Since he was her main concern right now. Michael's like, well, Brandon's a punk. You could melt him with a super soaker full of tap water so long as you told him it was blessed. He's dangerous, but so far as vampires go, he's at the bottom of the food chain. He's the ones who don't go around flashing fangs and trying to grab you. Off the street you need to worry about. And yeah, wear a cross, but keep it under your clothes. You'll have to make one if you don't already have one. So don't sell them anywhere in town. And if you can find things like holy water and Ecurest, keep them on hand. But the vampires in the town closed down most of the churches 50 years ago. There's still a few operating underground. Be careful, though. Don't believe everything you hear. And never, ever go by yourself. That was the longest speech she'd ever heard from Michael. It tumbled out in a flood, driven with insanity and frustration. He can't do anything. He can't do anything to help us when we go outside the door. Why did you let us move in? She asked. After what happened to you? He smiled. It didn't look quite right, somehow. I got lonely. And since I can't leave the house, there's too much I can't do. I need somebody to help me with groceries and stuff. And being a ghost doesn't exactly pay the bills. Shane was looking for a place to stay, and he said he'd pitch in for rent. It was perfect. We were friends back in high school. I couldn't just let her wander around out there after her parents threw her out. Claire tried to remember what Eve had said. Nothing, really. Why did they do that? She wouldn't take protection from their patron when she turned 18. Plus, she started dressing goth when she was about your age. Said she was never going to kiss any vampire ass, no matter what. Michael made a helpless gesture with his hands. At 18, they threw her out. Had to, or it would have cost the whole family their protection. So she's on her own. She's done okay. She's safe here, and she's safe at the coffee shop. It's only the rest of the time she has to be careful. Clara couldn't think of anything to say. She looked away from Michael around the room. His bed was made. Oh my God, that's his bed? She tried to imagine Michael sleeping there and couldn't. Although she could imagine some other things, and shouldn't have because they made her feel hot and embarrassed. Claire? He said quietly. She looked back at him. Brandon's too young to be out before dark, so you're safe in the daytime, but don't stay out after dark. Got it? She nodded. About the other thing. I won't tell. He said, I won't, Michael. Not if you don't want me to. He let out his breath in a long, slow sigh. Thanks. I know you sound stupid, but I just don't want them to know yet. I need to figure out how to tell them. It's your business, Claire said. And Michael, if you start, getting the craving for red stuff, you'll be the first to know, he said. His eyes were steady and cool. And I expect you to do whatever you have to do to stop me. She shivered and said, okay. She'd take him if she had to. But she didn't mean it. She hoped she didn't anyway.